Okay, this is a video on verb tenses for the perfect tenses. That's the past perfect, the present perfect, and the future perfect. So when we're talking about tenses, as usual, we need a timeline. This line represents time, moving forward to the right. Right here in the middle, we'll call this now. This is the present. This is where we are. Anything on this side of the line is the past. And anything on this side of the line is the future. Okay, so keeping that in mind when we examine this, I'm going to start in the past. Let's put an action here. I went to Lima. And this is a specific action in the past. It is the simple past because it happened at a certain time, it's finished, it's a complete action in the past. I'm going to put another action that happened before that on the line. First, I booked my hotel. Later, I went to Lima. That's also the simple past. And because we have a visual aid, it's very clear which action happened first. But if I want to connect these two ideas, I should use a word like before. And I'm going to make a sentence using those two words, but then it's not exactly clear when I booked my hotel. We just know that it happened sometime here. We don't know exactly when it happened. And so when I connect these two sentences, I should have a sentence like this, using that word again, before. And you'll notice the first verb tense has changed. Now I'm using the past perfect. This is how we use the past perfect. It is an action that occurred before another past action. But we don't know exactly when. That all that matters is that it happened first. So I have a very specific past action, the simple past, I went to Lima. And a non-specific, some point in time before then, I had booked my hotel. You're not limited to using the word before. Here it is, similar sentence with the word after. I've had to rearrange the elements of the sentence a little bit, but you can see I can use that. I can use other words in the past perfect as well, but there's always some words, adverbs, that connect a past perfect sentence to the simple past. And that's very important because the past perfect rarely appears by itself. It needs to work together with the simple past because it is the action before the simple past. So there's just a few more examples. Let's go back to the timeline now. Let's move everything forward a little bit. Now the red action, the action in the red X, is in the present. I am in Lima in this moment. Still in the past, I booked my hotel. That happened before this moment. But currently, I'm in Lima. So I might tell you, I've booked my hotel. It's not necessarily important to say this part, actually, because we are in the present. Maybe you're talking to me and I'm standing in front of you on a street in Lima. I'm not going to tell you I'm in Lima. Or I'm about to leave on my trip. And so I use the present perfect to reference a time before now. Much as the past perfect is used to reference a time before a simple past action, the present perfect is used to reference a time before the present. I might add a word to this sentence just to emphasize that the action is complete. It's not necessary. This is the first thing I'd like to tell you about the present perfect. It is an action that occurred before now. But be careful with that definition, and I'll show you what I mean. What if I said this? I booked my hotel on Thursday. This is the simple past, not the present perfect. And it's because of this. When I give you a specific moment in the past, a specified time, I have to use the simple past. We can't say this, I've booked my hotel on Thursday. That is completely incorrect. So let's change the definition a little bit. The present perfect is, number one, an action that occurred at an unspecified time before now. It has to be a time that we don't tell you exactly. It's just before now. So this is often used to talk about experience, like maybe life experience. You mention a movie to me and I tell you, I've never seen that movie. And what I'm talking about is from the moment of my birth all the way up until this moment, I have no experience with that movie. I've never seen it. Maybe I'm going to watch it with you in a few minutes. Maybe we're just about to start watching it, or we're going to watch it in a week. But up until now, I've never seen it. But she's seen it several times. And so again, from the birth all the way up till now, we could probably add a few specific past moments. She saw it on January 1st, 1982. She saw it, etc., etc. But several times is just more than once in this big blue circle. We're not being specific. Now, we don't have to talk about life experience. Other types of experience are used like this. For example, have you been to a volcano in Costa Rica yet? I'm not talking about your life experience. Maybe from the moment you arrived in Costa Rica, which might have been only a few weeks ago, up until now, in this time, have you seen a volcano? I'm not asking how many or which ones. There's nothing specific here. I just want to know yes or no if you have experienced this. Similarly, I might ask you, or you might say, I still haven't met all my coworkers. Perhaps you started working here only a week ago, and in your experience at Intercultura, you still have not met everyone. So that's experience is a very common use of the present perfect. It's not the only one. And here's another way that the present perfect is used. An action that starts in the past and continues to the present. Now, what does that mean? Well, let me show you an example. So, Bill has worked here for 5 years. Here is where Bill started to work, and in this blue circle again, you could say it's his experience at work, but the sentence also sort of implies that he's going to continue working here. He's not fired today. He's worked here for 5 years, probably going to keep working here. So a present perfect action does not have to terminate now or just before now. It might continue into the future. How about this one? This means that since the moment the day started, since I've been here, I haven't seen her. Now, she might walk in here any minute, and then she will be here. But as of this moment, she hasn't come in. Perhaps she won't come in. Here's an interesting use. I've just finished the book. Now, in this case, I started reading, and the action definitely terminated before the present, but it's a very recent activity. And so we do include it like this. So when something ends very recently, we will consider it continuing to the present, because this only a few moments ago might be considered the present as well. So here we go. Yeah, maybe yesterday, maybe a little bit later today, but it's before now. Okay, so this is the present perfect that I was showing you. Remember, I moved it up from the past. Let's move it a little more. And now you've guessed it, we're talking about future perfect. So here are two future actions. I will see more of Peru. And then I'll fly home. This is my trip to Peru. Similar to the past perfect, we have two actions that are beyond the present, but one definitely happened before the other. And so to express which one happened first, when I combine them, I might use a time expression again, like before. Before I fly home, I will have seen more of Peru. And this sentence tells me that one action is going to happen, to see more of Peru, before the other one. You might notice that the word fly is now in the present. Now, this is not necessarily related to the future perfect. It's an interesting grammar point. When I have a expression with certain time phrases like before, after, as soon as, we can never use a future form. But that's just another case. So you're going to actually use fly in the present, but the sentence in context we understand is in the future. But I don't want to focus on that so much as the use of the future perfect in the second clause, I will have seen. So let's talk about exactly what that means. So the future perfect is an action before a future event. So a few examples there. Max will have left before we get there. This means that we have two actions. On the first one, we see there's where Max is. He's at the place. And later on, we arrive. And we're anticipating that somewhere in here, Max is going to go away. And we're not going to see him. We don't know exactly when. Again, it's non-specific. Sometime before the future action of our arrival. Now, here's one. I'll have graduated by this time next year. This one includes the immediate future. It doesn't have to be between two distant future actions. Sometime between now and next year, sometime in the next year, I'm going to graduate. Maybe in a week. Maybe in 362 days, but less than a year from now. This is an interesting one too. We're not only in the future perfect can include the present, even the past. In January, she'll have lived there a year. So January, let's imagine, is just around the corner. Today, we're in October, for example. Last January is way back here. And her living there is an ongoing action since last January. So really, this sentence covers the past, the present, and the future. One more example I want to show you. The students will have started the exam within the hour. Now this one obviously starts sometime after now. They can't start the exam now. They're going to start sometime between now and an hour from now. But the exam itself may very well continue. They're just starting the exam. So you see the future perfect is very versatile. It has a lot of uses.